It only works where you have people very adept at using firearms, of which you have many. And it would be teachers and coaches.
That was President Trump 2 months ago, supporting the arming of some teachers after the deadly shooting rampage at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. Since that massacre, the debate on how to protect the nation's school children has taken a more urgent tone. That includes whether or not educators should be arming themselves to defend the students they teach. So far, more than 170 Texas school districts allow it. Tonight, we visit one in Central Texas that says it's their best chance of surviving the unthinkable.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the tiny town of Jonesboro, population about 800, students are ready to start the day. The staff is ready to protect the more than 300 of them with prayer.
It would help our children to make sure everyone is safe.
And if necessary,
it makes me feel more safe.
Force.
We're not a defenseless target anymore, and I think that gives you a sense of peace in these situations.
A select group of employees at Jonesboro ISD has been arming themselves since 2013. The school board unanimously approved it.
This is a CBS News special report.
Not long after a gunman's deadly rampage.
And it is turning out to be worse than anyone could have imagined.
Through Sandy Hook Elementary in Connecticut. Depending on the definition of school shooting, the number since Sandy Hook varies. Data from the Gun Violence Archive shows more than 400 people have since been killed or injured on 200-plus school campuses, while Everytown lists nearly 300 incidents since 2013, an average of about one a week.
For teachers, somebody higher up in the students, to have a gun that can protect us, I think it's a really good idea.
With the nearest law enforcement about 20 miles away from Jonesboro, Superintendent Matt Dawsey says being able to defend themselves is a must.
Whenever you're talking about seconds, you're talking about lives. Whenever you're talking about minutes, you're talking about hundreds of lives potentially. Whenever you're talking about multiple minutes, you're talking about mass destruction.
Of two, so it's going to be twice as tall.
Like Jonesboro, most schools in Texas do not have dedicated police departments or school resource officers. In the event of an attack, Coryell County Sheriff's Department would likely be first on scene. They're like 20 miles away. What does that mean in terms of the response time from the Sheriff's Department?
It can mean anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to 30 to 40 minutes, depending on where our deputies that are on at the time are at.
He looks like a spider.
He is a spider.
Tommy Necessary, the school librarian, has 4 grandchildren who go to school here. You've got a vested interest in protecting.
I feel good about it because I feel like our children are protected, and I don't feel like I have anything to worry about.
While schools remain gun-free zones by federal and state law, there are exceptions in Texas. The school marshal program gives specially trained staffers law enforcement capabilities and responsibilities.
Lock and load.
The Guardian Plan allows school districts like Jonesboro to allow willing employees to carry anonymously.
They teach you all the rules and laws and what you can do and can't do, and then you have to qualify with a weapon.
They don't know which teacher, where they're strategically positioned.
Lana Riley does not carry a gun at school now, but would consider it. Lana, one of the concerns is that teachers, educators, food service directors like yourself might be coerced into carrying.
No, ma'am, not at all. I feel like we need to protect our children.
There's a perception among critics of arming teachers in schools that the teachers are not going to be trained properly, they won't be emotionally ready, that perhaps they might cave under the pressure. How do you respond to that?
On that, not every teacher is ready to carry inside the classroom, and we do understand that. We have a training program set up to where we can actually eliminate the teachers that are not quite ready for it yet and put the teachers that are ready and have them carry inside the classroom.
I'm here for every person that has died at the hands of gun violence.
as the rash of recent school shootings reignites the national debate on guns in gun-free zones. It is the new normal in Jonesboro.
I think it's just okay, and nobody ever, I haven't heard anybody really voice any opinion on it lately.
None of the many parents we asked, including Naomi Stewart, is concerned.
I think it's wonderful, to be honest with you. My son says it's the best school he's ever been to.
Still, there are critics outside the community who say gun-toting teachers is too risky. Michael Hansen is the director of the Brown Center on Education Policy in Washington, D.C.
That potentially does pose a risk of students gaining access to those guns and potentially misfiring. It has happened in schools in the past.
Here in Texas, we have a number of school districts and small rural communities that have been arming themselves, arming certain teachers for years now, and seemingly it has been working. They're miles and miles from law enforcement. How do you tell them that they can't defend themselves in the event of an active shooter?
I am supportive of having security officers in school. I do think that other security measures, for example, perimeter fencing, having single entries for the public to come into the school, these are the types of security protocols that schools can put into place.
The message here in Jonesboro is clear. They are ready, willing, and able to fight if necessary.
Everybody always thinks your number one job as the leader of the school is to teach math, science, social studies, English. And I believe my number one job is to deliver your child back home safely every day.
While the Guardian program has been well received in Jonesboro, Matt Dawsey will be the first to say it's not for everyone. Meanwhile, it has plenty of opponents, citing safety issues, who oppose it altogether. They include the National Association of School Resource Officers, the Texas affiliate of the American Federation of Teachers, and the National Association of Secondary School Principals. If you'd like to learn more, head to our website at kwtx.com and click on the Find It button.